where the games aren't being played. The Drive needs something to fill the void. Movies and sports collide with the daily sports movie breakdown. Settle in as The Drive picks apart the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, and the funny of another classic sports movie.
Hey, bada.
Look, it's a good deal. All you got to do is make a single from right here, and you can shut off our gas, and we'll never call you Squeak again. Or
All right, so the movie was BASEketball. Dave, that was your entry, correct?
Yes, it was.
Why did you want us to see BASEketball?
BASEketball was another one of those, I told you Major League was, I was 12, 13 when it came out, and that was a real big sports movie of my childhood. BASEketball, I was, older, obviously. Now I'm in my 20s, and man, I watched that movie so much. Again, it was an easy movie to fall back into. It's definitely the most vulgar movie I think we've reviewed so far. And I think Matt Stone and Trey Parker. I love random humor. I love things that I'm not expecting. I love when I love the Adam Sandler stuff where you go around a curve and you next thing you know he's in the bathtub singing about shampoo and conditioner. It gets me every time. And BASEketball was one of those movies. Any movie that you hear Bob Costas say, "You're excited, feel these nipples," that is a classic to me. And I thought they pulled it off. It was an entertaining movie.
Yeah, so again, I told you that I was interested because it was going to be one of those phenomenons of all the movies we've had on our list. I've seen them all, or I'd seen them in Major League. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I'd seen it multiple times. This was one I had not seen at all. And so I came in with really, really low expectations. I honestly, Dave, thought it would be more vulgar. I didn't think it was that vulgar,
Sure.
but it was more than the other movies we had seen, and based on their work with South Park, I just didn't know which way it would go. And then the other, honestly, the element I just all these years never knew and didn't really care to look up. I didn't even know what the rules were. I knew they had combined baseball and basketball. It's in the name. I knew that. I'd remembered previews before. I didn't even understand what the rules were of the game, and it was kind of funny how that all created and got started. I honestly laughed at the beginning, the setup for how they got to the league, and they're at that first party of high school friends and stuff they make up. There's some stuff in there, and Squeak, he was the punching bag in a lot of the humor, and that made me laugh. But then as it went on, it seriously was foolish, but there were funny parts, some interesting cameos or people I didn't realize were in it. And certainly at the end, when they need that cab ride, Yasmin Bleeth and all the kids, and it's Dale Earnhardt Sr., I didn't know about that. So there, I don't even know, stupid funny, probably. It wasn't hilarious, but I think it stood up okay as far as it's, 20-something years old, probably?
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, so
98 it came out. Let me, I wanted to wait for you to see it to see if you know. We talked about Dodgeball and how there were just some random cameos in Dodgeball. BASEketball's cameos just trump everything. You've got here's your cameos.
Well, it's the announcing world, right?
Bob Costas, Al Michaels, Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries, Reggie Jackson, Dan Patrick, Kenny Mayne, Tim McCarver, Pat O'Brien, Jim Lampley, as you mentioned, Dale Earnhardt. There's Jay's guy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, yes.
You had Kurt Gowdy, Kato Kalin. There's just everyone's in this thing, and I don't even know how the heck they got them. How did you? I've always wondered, and I would love to get. Well, first off, Costas or Michaels would be a dream interview, but I swear to God, I would ask them, how did you say yes to this when really South Park was in its, second or third year? They hadn't gotten as huge yet. Trey and Matt were not crazy established. I think their only other movie they'd done was BASEketball, Orgasmo, which, look that one up.
I'm a man.
I'm a boy. I don't know, how did you possibly get Al Michaels and Bob Costas to do that, but they pulled it off.
Yeah, and it's funny that the theme, I think so far in the, 4 movies we've seen, the announcers really help pull these things together. I mean, that certainly took the place in with Bob Uecker. I think that we
yes.
talked about the fictitious announcers in Pepper and Cotton and Dodgeball, and then the real announcers in this. So you said Kurt Gowdy. Was he with Kato Kalin? I don't even remember. I remember Kato.
I'm trying to remember where Kurt Gowdy.
Okay.
Oh, he was the voice of the World Series announcer.
Oh,
But
yeah,
they piped that in. So
yeah, that's right.
You just heard his voice. And there's another thing about this movie. I mean, there's a ton of funny parts. But one of the things that stuck with me about this movie is there are two, I think, decent examples of movies that you wouldn't expect anything of substance out of, that for some reason have stuck with me over the years. The first one, you guys will know what I'm talking about. Most people will know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, please do yourself a favor and go on YouTube today and look up the movie Idiocracy and the open to Idiocracy. It's on YouTube. If you YouTube Idiocracy open, it is Mike Judge did that movie, and the first 2 to 3 minutes of that movie is a revelation. And when you consider how old that movie is now, some of the things they foreshadowed are pretty crazy. That always stuck with me. You didn't expect that out of a comedy like that. The second one, almost the same thing, Jason. It's the open to this movie. Remember the montage they did where you had the voiceover guy,
Yep.
and he was talking about, well, and then this team moved to that team, and that city moved to that city, and then this player free agency, and really at the time, a lot of this wasn't happening. It really accelerated after that. But in all their humor, these guys kind of foreshadowed again where the game was going, where you really had a lot of athletes that became, to some of your old schoolers, hired mercenaries, and you had franchises moving city to city to city. Again, the open to BASEketball, there's a lot of truth in that.
It's funny that you say that, because so I watched the movie by myself in the back room. My wife came in later. She goes, so? I go, and it was early on. It was after that open, after he catches the third home run from Reggie Jackson, the World Series, and the free agency and the movement, and him, like, the desire to keep teams in one spot. I said, you know what? It's actually okay so far. And I because it felt, real and interesting. And then as the script went into just zany, I mean, there's parts that are funny. I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing at, oh gosh, who was the owner of the league that died on
Ernest Borgnine.
I mean, when he's giving him, he's pumping his chest and the hot dog keeps flying out. I mean, there's just that's stupid, but that got me. Right. Just, like, there's things like that are going to miss, and then others that hit. And all in all, I think because I came in with terribly low expectations, I was entertained. Let's put it that way.
Now I've been waiting. I was going to see, because I don't expect you did like crazy research on this movie, but let me ask you something. So this movie, you and I both said before that we love slapstick humor. Mm-hmm. We love the stupid stuff, and there was a lot of that in this movie. I don't know if you noticed or not, but there's a very good reason, I think, why this movie does have some very funny parts and why there's a familiar theme. There's a guy named David Zucker. Most people don't know who the heck David Zucker is. I think he's one of the greatest comedy writers in history. David Zucker, amongst his credits, Airplane, Naked Gun, Top Secret, Kentucky Fried Movie, and BASEketball.
Yeah, okay. And
he wrote them all.
I could, there was a little bit of that feel to the movie, but not entirely, not all the time, but sometimes. And all in all, though, if I were ranking the four now that we've seen, I still put it last, but with kind of a, hey, better than I thought. I'm going Major League 3, which I know that kills you. I put that at third, Dodgeball 2, and Talladega Nights 1.
Ooh, that's tough. I would go. God, I when I said put Dodgeball last, it makes it sound like I hated it. I didn't. I love Dodgeball, but I would still go. I would go Major League 1, probably Talladega Nights 2, BASEketball 3, Dodgeball 4.
Jay,
but again, that's a lot of that's just. I think we're getting into a lot of these now. Watch what happens with Karate Kid if it wins. We're getting into a lot of personal. Throwback, slipping into the old warm blanket. Yeah, personal connections.
I would have gone Major League,
number 1,
Talladega Nights, Dodgeball, BASEketball.
Okay. So
yeah, Jay, I know we got to go, but your thoughts on BASEketball? Just your basic quick thoughts?
It's very 1998-esque Trey Parker, Matt Stone humor. I mean, it was everything I remember it being, just really stupid. Had its moments. I told Jason, I think the highlight for me was I forgot how much I was in love with Yasmine Bleeth.
Oh, yes.
Dude, Yasmine
Yes.
Bleeth in the 90s was something to behold. Great actress. Great actress.
Great actress.
But yeah,
Tremendous.
overall, movie does not hold up.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's
You
our
don't
movie
hold up.
review. We've got about
That's true.
40 minutes left on tonight's movie.